Welcome to Empowered Life Hacks, where we share with you an explosion of tips to help you overcome your daily struggles. Pay attention for the audio and visual cues, and this will let you know when an actionable idea is right on its way. Everyone, welcome to Empowered Life Hacks, our final episode for season 1 on this all-encompassing kind of journey to give you tips and tricks to live your life more fruitfully. And on our 11th episode, we have Nick and Jessica back again. They so happen to be married, and they so happen to have episodes. And I started hearing about their journey together, and they actually have a lot of elements they incorporate into their game to have a strong relationship that I felt can translate to many others out there. Young, old, but the cool thing is that at their age, they have a solid foundation I feel can help many people. So thank y'all for coming today. And of course, let's just start off with this. How did y'all meet?
Yeah, right on. Yeah, thanks, Eric. We appreciate you, man. And yeah, well, what you're doing, I think life hacks, we all need them. So this is going to be an awesome one. And who doesn't like to talk about themselves? So this is going to be fun. But in all seriousness, we met back in 2013. So we met back, or I guess 2012. We met in college. We both went to the University of Illinois at Chicago, here in Chicago. And I was studying engineering. Jessica was studying geology, and we just casually met in college. Like, there's no like sexy story or no like.
Well, we kind of eyed each other in the cafeteria for like a year, so.
But we were too scared to talk to each other, so we were very intimidated by one another. But we always kind of envisioned that we would be together. So there's a little bit of a love story to it, but we just started like talking casually. But I guess little did I know that Jessica was actually going to study abroad in Australia right when we started talking. So we started in like November 2012. She packed her bags and she went to Australia in February 2013. And I had never been in a serious relationship before, so this was all new to me. I was just used to kind of like playing games and partying, never wanted to like commit myself to somebody. But there was something different about her. And while she was in Australia, I think it was like a 12-hour time difference or 14.
Like 13 or 14.
Yeah, like we kept in back in the Skype days, back when Zoom wasn't even incepted yet. And, just texting and Facebook. And long story short, when she got back, we started dating officially. And, one thing led to another. We got engaged in August of 2018. We got married. 17. Yes, just testing you. And then we got married in September of 2018. So we're coming up on 3 years next month. And it's been an awesome ride, at least in my respect. Anything you want to add to that?
No, you pretty much covered it.
For sure. But yeah, that's kind of like how we met, where we're at today. And it's been an awesome journey so far.
It's amazing because y'all are really approaching 10 years when you think about it, right? Because if someone were to go to you and say, hey, how long y'all been married? Like 3 years, it'd be like, oh, you got a long ways to go. But I think there's something to be said when you've been dating for so long, going for that ask and committing to marriage, and then having a whole new dynamic can often shock people, right? And it can really change their understanding of the relationship. So I imagine from dating to being married, there must have been some struggles along the way, right? I'm curious, like talking about when like Jess went to Australia, for example, right? And then on towards when you're getting married, like let's start on this topic, on this element, romance. Like, how did you guys keep that flame? It's been 10 years, baby. That's a long time. And you had so many milestones and different stages in your life. And I'm curious, let's say like starting from the beginning, how did you keep that spark, that romance, that attraction alive?
Well, I think in beginning in any relationship, it's all about the romance. It's all about like discovering the other person. And I really think it's usually, for some people, it's a little later. Some people it's a little earlier, but I always say it's around like the 1 year, 1.5, 2 year mark. That's when like couples really know each other at this point.
Hopefully.
And hopefully, yes. But it seems like that's where it starts to like dwindle a little bit. And for us, that was kind of same thing as, around at the 1.5 year, 2 year mark, we were already on our first apartment and kind of really just kind of knew ins and outs of each other already. And I think that was pretty much the time that, hey, like we have to really start making our relationship feel fresh and new. And it was really the help of some of our mentors that we're thankful for today, but they really kind of helped us instill kind of that discovery phase, kind of asking deeper questions besides, you know, just having dinner and each of us on different phones, and just really always kind of staying engaged and kind of really think big picture and deeper topics than just kind of surface level fun and surface level kind of just talk. I think that really has helped us in kind of still discovering each other. Still to this day, I mean, there's still things that I don't know too much about him and he doesn't know too much about me, but it's just fun to kind of always just have that like kind of deeper discussion. Cause I think a lot of people are afraid to have those deeper like discussions, and it opens up a whole new world, and it just is really exciting and fresh.
Yeah, there was actually a time Jessica brought up about like discovering each other. And it's not about like discovering like what your favorite music is or what your favorite food is, but like what motivates you, what inspires you to like get up every day and take action. Because, you know, for us, like we want to be on the same page. Like, okay, like what are your goals? What are mine? What are your values? What are mine? What morals do you want? Or what morals do you have? What morals do I have? And like having conversations on like some of those deeper level things. And maybe like that's a maturity thing too. Some people like they just can't have those conversations just yet, maybe because they're just not curious enough to have them. But like there was a point in time in our relationship where we didn't really know, or at least I didn't know why I was in the relationship. Like we had kind of gotten to that point of like a year and a half where, you know, we had done concerts, we had traveled a little bit, we had done a lot of fun things. But like Jessica said, when you start doing a lot of fun things, it becomes very superficial, and you gotta be able to connect on a deeper level. So I don't think we went through too many struggles. And if we did, they're all mental. They're all like internal. Yeah, we had financial problems. Like our car had flooded, our apartment had flooded, you know, just like big things would happen in our life, but just being so open with each other has really bonded us over those struggles. And struggles are a way to grow your character. You know, true character comes in a valley, not at a mountain peak, you know. And it's for us, when we hit those valleys, we're like, hey, like, let's be there for each other. Let's pull each other up. And let's not question how long the other person needs to come out of this valley, but let's just make sure we're there for each other. So we were always on the same page when it came to that. But that's what we were both seeking. Not everybody's seeking that in a relationship, but that is just from our viewpoint.
Yeah, and I also want to just touch up on one thing is something that our mentors recommended to us is one of the key books that really helped our relationship was The 5 Love Languages.
Yes.
Reading that book, you discover a lot about who the other person is and kind of what their love language is. And kind of discovering those love languages, we know how to kind of serve the other person in their love language. Because I feel like a lot of the times, you know, it's typical for people to kind of go into the relationship and give a specific love language that is meant for them. Like that's their love language and they're trying to give it to the other person. But the other person might not have the same love language as you. So you kind of really have to give what their love language is. And I think that has really helped us kind of just keep the attraction and the romance alive.
Keeps the love tank full, as the book talks about. So highly recommend, even if you're not in a relationship, I'd give it a read for sure. Yeah.
It's actually cool. Like when one thinks romance, you think of like those Vogue magazines, and it's like how to spice it up in the bedroom, or like how it's just like you said, is these transient high level things where they did this study with, I think, or there's this activity where they grabbed these group of people and they had them ask each other 30 questions, and apparently after that, like there was increased probability these people would fall in love, right? Why is that the case, right? Well, you're learning about that person, not just this transient idea of that person, but that person itself. And that's where the romance lies, right? It's that sustainability component. So everyone, that's really cool, right? Because often when we think of romance, we don't often think about, to get the romance part, you have to get the grind, the goal setting, learning about what that person actually needs from their love language. And a big part of that is communication, understanding. So I'm curious, like maybe from like a love language perspective, or just a general communication, regular day activity kind of thing, how do you guys manage your communication for just daily life, and tie that in maybe to your love languages?
Why don't you say what your love language is first?
My love language is quality time and like doing things for the other person. So like, you know,
Like
wash-
she likes when I clean the house, do the
yeah.
dishes, things like that. Acts of service.
And what's your language?
I say the same. Acts of service. I love gifts. Like if somebody's gonna give me like a random like t-shirt or like a new belt, like I get excited about that little
Yeah.
stuff. But you know, for communication wise, it's I think there's I think it's what your spouse doesn't communicate is what you have to pick up on. So like for example, Jessica's not going to tell me that she likes when I do the dishes, but it's like when I do the dishes, I see how happy she is. So for me, she's communicating through other platforms. It's not just her mouth. It's body language, it's emotion, it's behavior. And it's kind of like you know, when you I don't know, like hold the door open for somebody. They get excited. They don't always say thank you, but you could see a little bit of light in their face. So that motivates you to keep doing that for other people. So when I know Jessica's love language is quality time and also acts of service, I don't complain about doing the dishes because she gets happy. You know, she's gonna since she's happy when we communicate, she's gonna be on a better frequency. And when she's on a better frequency, we could talk about things that are progressive. We don't want to talk about money challenges or life challenges. And we do talk about those. We don't neglect those or put them under the rug. But the goal is to always be on the same page. We don't want resistance in our household because as the home team, the family grows, that's going to play a major role is that communication. Yeah. Also, this is something I had to learn the hard way. But when we first started dating, I used to be very addicted to my phone, to the point where we would be watching a movie at home, my phone would be buzzing and I'd have to check it all the time. But like in reality, Jessica didn't really care about the movie. It was just spending time with each other, like being there with each other. So when I was giving my time to something else, she got kind of mad. She wasn't like, hey, put your phone away. But those intangible, like those emotions, that body language, like that is good feedback if you're communicating in the right way. So that's kind of like tying it into the love languages. I don't know if there's anything you want to add on to that?
Well, I was just gonna like pivot into just like communication in general.
Yeah, let's do it.
I struggled with communication in the beginning. I was that kind of person that I didn't like talking about the difficult things. Like if we were having a fight, I'd rather just be quiet and kind of just go off into a separate room and just kind of deal with it myself and let myself like cool down and relax before having a civil conversation about it. But Nick is the opposite. He wants to talk about it now. He wants to resolve it now. Like we can't sleep on this. Like let's figure it out now. And so for both of us, we had to really kind of work on that kind of communication. I had to get out of my comfort zone and know that, you know what, it's important to kind of talk about this stuff. And it's not, you shouldn't neglect talking about it because you're just prolonging the conversation that needs to happen. And so just kind of learning that, you know, I have to get out of my comfort zone and I have to kind of change as a person to make this relationship actually flourish. And so communication has gotten a lot better. We both know how to kind of like go into the conversation without
making it dangerous.
Yeah.
There's a book, it's called Crucial Conversations, and it talks about how to create an environment for a safe conversation without it becoming very angry or hostile, because when the temperature is too hot, things could boil over. And if it's too cold, then it just freezes. So you need to create the right temperature for the conversation. And and we communicate. Obviously, we live together. We're married. We've been living with each other for a very long time, but we communicate through other platforms too. You know, we have a shared calendar. We share our emails with each other. Like we're transparent, man. Like we got nothing to hide. And not every couple is willing to do that. You know, we both know the passwords to our phones. We share our finances with each other. We share our credit card statements with each other. So we're communicating on every single level that we can possibly imagine.
Because we want our home team to win. So we know that is an important step for us personally to make sure that the home team wins.
Yeah, like LeBron knows AD's points on the Lakers, right? He's not like, hey, I don't want you to know my stats or what I'm training in the gym. It's like, dude, let me come in the gym with you. Nah, you can't know when I'm at the gym or what I'm working on or who might, right? That doesn't work. So I like the analogy of like a team, because I'm thinking athletics and you need to be transparent for a team to function, right? And you mentioned, I think you touched on finances, right? Keeping those transparent. And I actually think like beyond obviously maybe physical attraction dwindling over time, right? Or, you know, maybe people not speaking each other's love language as well. I mean, a universal love language that's a necessity for a couple to work is finances. I mean, as much as people want to say money doesn't matter, I'm sorry, it does. You do need money. It doesn't matter when you have it, but to everyone else not being able to manage that money, it can really harpen the relationship if you're not careful. And with such transparency, that's obviously part of your communication piece. But I'm curious, like, I'm sure you didn't start that way immediately. Obviously, you guys shared a lot of growth stages. Could you walk us through like your growth stages for finances, if possible? Maybe like pre-marriage and then like early on, maybe like just after university and going on to where you're at now.
Yeah, I mean, our mentors always say like, show me your bank balance and your calendar, and I'll show you where your priorities are. So if you were to look at my bank balance before we started dating or even before we started getting married, you'd see a lot of transactions at 2:00 in the morning, 3:00 in the morning at different areas around the city. So you could probably imagine what I was doing with my finances. And it wasn't like, I was very selfish with my money. I wanted to please me. I wanted to have fun. I wanted things, right? And like, it's okay to like get those things for yourself in moderation. At some point there was a point in our relationship where like, okay, every dollar I spend, I'm taking that dollar away from us. So is it a dollar that I'm going to put into myself in a selfish but healthy way? Or am I going to put that dollar into our relationship? So that was kind of like the mindset shift that I personally went through. And even today, like if I want to spend money on something, I tell Jessica, I'm like, hey, like, what do you think about this? And she won't say yes or no, but she'll be like, do you need that right now? Like she is a very emotionally stable questioner when it comes to finances. And she's learned a lot of that from our mentors, which we still talk to a lot about these things as well. But like 2 weeks ago, I saw a pair of basketball shoes that I really liked. I was like, hey, Jess, like, how do you like these? She's like, yeah, they're nice. But like, do you think you need them right now? She wasn't telling me no, but she was getting me to practically think when I was very emotionally high. And like we have that with each other. And like, yeah, we still buy stuff for each other. Like we still buy stuff for one, like ourselves too. But we feel comfortable running our purchases through each other's filters to make sure that we're not going to do anything that's going to hurt the home team. Right. I've already got a pair of basketball shoes. I don't need a second one right now. They looked really nice. I'll get them in the future maybe, but I didn't need them right now. So anything you want to touch on?
I feel like finances for me, I always kind of just came from a little bit more financially literate, like mother who was an accountant growing up. So she kind of taught me a lot about, you know, like spending versus investing and kind of just like having that like mindset of financial freedom eventually. And our mentors today we're very transparent. Even we're transparent together with our finances, but we're really transparent to our mentors because they're the ones in life that we want to be where they are in life. And so we as a couple are really open up our finances to them so they can see hot points that we don't see. But a big thing that I've learned over the years is, you know, like, yeah, the little things now sound really great to have, but it's just you not going to be able to buy what you really want in life later for just like the immediate stuff now, the little things now that just make us happy for maybe like a couple of days. And then you're just going to forget about it. Or like, you know, like, oh, I really wanted that meal, but you know, I could have just ate somewhere else or did a little bit different, ate at home. So it's just kind of like those things that what we really want in our future, are we going to get it? Or are we just going to have a lot of little things that just kind of make us happy now, but don't make us happy long term?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of our mindset going into finances.
It's like the short term gratification with long term consequences. Yeah. That's how we look at our money too. Yeah, I mean, we're very open about like our savings accounts, our investments. Obviously, when we go to purchase like a car or something big, you know, we have counsel sessions with our mentors, but at the same time, like we have to talk about, be like, okay, what do we want and what do we need? because those are two very different things. And how we look at money is just a tool, to be honest, Eric. Money is just a tool to help us get where our family wants to go, but also help other people in life too. They say that the root of all evil is money. I disagree. The love of money is the root of all evil. So when we look at our money a little bit differently, it actually makes our relationship a lot healthier too.
Yeah.
Brain exploded to those that don't know. That's amazing. And I actually have a car analogy. So one is like, it's cool how y'all want to have that two-way open communication and are always conscious of the temperature. Because for example, apparently like about 50% of fatal accidents are as a result of someone having a fight before. Like that's a high number, right?
Wow.
Not necessarily saying don't get in an argument because your loved one may die in a car accident, which is tragic, but by the same token, you don't perform optimally when you're under that stress, right? And another thing is that they actually found while driving, if you have someone in the car beside you, you're actually less likely to get in an accident. Now, some people are like, why are people getting at me while I'm driving and giving me these instructions? Leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. But when you look at the data, right? And that's why now when I'm driving, I'm totally cool. If someone's looking around, I'm like, feel free to let me know what's going on. Check my blind spots, even though I'm checking them, because we're not perfect. And having, like Nick, I'm sure you have the capacity to make great decisions. And Jess, I'm sure you do too. But two minds, right, can look at things objectively, right? So that's really cool, guys. Like powerful, powerful stuff. Wanted to transition here though. We talking about finance. Well, how do you get that chicken, right? How do you get that cheddar cheese? Get a job. Get a job, everyone. And y'all got jobs. Y'all progressed like a lot. Like I know your career trajectory, like pre-mentorship, pre-relationship. And I'm curious, like how did you balance that growth from finishing school, getting a relationship, and then like career?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I
mean, we're analytical people.
Yeah.
So we're very like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So for us, like being in a relationship while in college and transitioning to, the corporate or the real world, however you want to talk about it, we had goals that were a little bit unorthodox, maybe to most people. We have goals of being like stay-at-home parents. And in order to do that, you could do it a couple ways. A few ways is you could find 2 remote positions that you can work from home all the time, so you could have your children around. You could, start some type of passive income, some type of investment that will create enough cash flow for you every month to allow you to step away from your job and have that time for your future kids. So for us, like we've always had a common goal and we've always been on the same page. And even though we might be on different pages, as long as we're in the same book, that's also very good. Right? Yeah. Because like we have different fitness goals, right? Because like women and guys, like we train differently, but we're in the same book. We're just on different pages. But for us, we're like, hey, you know what? We're not money driven people, but Eric, like you said, like we can't be so ignorant to money. So we're like, how can we just always elevate our game? How can we always elevate our mindset so that we can be in the best position possible for high financial opportunities? So we were always looking to be one step ahead of the crowd, one step, always have a leg up. And to be honest, like we're singing the same song here, but just having good mentors and good people in our life to keep us on track and, recommend things for us to grow. And I was a 2.8 GPA in college. Jessica was like amazing in college. So I wasn't like the cream of the crop. So I had to just get whatever job that came my way. But it's not about what you're given. It's about what you do with what you're given. And for me, I took that job opportunity. I excelled in it. I made a pivot into a different industry. And, I've had a successful career for the past 5 years. I work as a consultant for the city of Chicago in construction management and underground utilities. So it is a lot of fun. And I don't know, you want to touch on it?
Yeah, for me, being in the geology fields, there's little jobs in Chicago. And there's a lot other places. And, I did get an offer from a position down in Texas. And when I got out of college, and Nick had a year left of college to go when I had graduated, and I had to kind of make that decision right then and there. We had already been dating for a year and a half at that point. And I had to decide, are we going to have this relationship and make it work long distance? Or am I going to kind of try to choose a position here around the Chicagoland area and still trying to find work. And
Mm-hmm.
it was going to be really hard if I actually did take the position down there, because I would have been offshore on an oil rig in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. And it would have been a really hard position for me to kind of sustain this relationship. So I knew that I needed to find the position that was right for the relationship. And so I ended up finding a position here in Chicago in consulting, kind of similar industry to Nick. But, you know, I also, while in that position, I had done multiple different positions at the job, and one of them was doing field work. And I would be in the field sometimes, you know, at night. So I would be working nights and he would be working days. And, you know, we had like a distance relationship almost, because
In the same household.
yeah. So I would see him sleeping, he would see me sleeping, and that was about it. But I think just kind of having to make the job work
Just
for
had to
the
make it work.
relationship, and kind of progress just like, yeah, with our goals, and make sure that, you know, the goals are in the forefront, and whatever we can do financially, career wise, to get the goals ultimately done is what we've actually kind of went for.
Yeah. And, you know, kind of when Jessica was talking about like working nights and I'm working days, we're very like outcome focused people. Like, we're not, it's like, okay, what's going to help us get to our goal the quickest? Or she wasn't sacrificing time with me, because sacrifice means giving up something for nothing. So she was delaying maybe some job or some, I don't know, business investment, whatever it might be, for a short amount of time. She was delaying that to keep the long-term goal in mind. So our mentors always say, like, start with the end in mind, because when you start with the end in mind, every decision that you make will line up with your destination, with your ultimate goal. And if it means working nights for a little bit, it does. If it means like taking a lower paying job to stay closer to your family because you want to be a family man, hey, go for it. But make sure you are communicating those decisions. Don't be making them by yourself, you know?
Yeah, that's huge, right? Because essentially, like, for example, just maybe if that job, just throwing a crazy figure out there, was going to pay you 500K, and you're like, look, Nick, I know this is going to be hard for a year, but when I come back, we can have 250K after tax because the government loves our money. You know what I mean? And we could invest in this, and we can, you know what I mean? So it's cool that what you're doing is you're giving people a level of freedom to think about the relationships and the decisions they make, to eventually look for the long term, which is having more time together, right? Like being stay-at-home parents. If we have that in mind, there'll be some sacrifices we make, but that'll give us more time in the future. Now let's just move on forward here. I mean, with the pandemic and all this crazy stuff, I know people are tired of hearing about it, but invariably, like, well-being is still harping from this, right? People are coming in and out of lockdown still, right? There's a level of, you know, well-being that is lost, that is still hard to regain. And I'm looking at y'all in relationship, of course. How did you guys, I mean, let's just look at, again, from like maybe the start-ish to like now, how you've been able to maintain your health. And it could be like physical and mental together. Of course, all the things you've talked about help with that, but I'm curious more particularly, like, how do you feel vibrant and alive and healthy together, and how have you managed that? And also, once you answer that question, let's talk about this crazy pandemic and how y'all been able to maintain. But first off, how did you guys do it before pre-marriage?
Health-wise, before
Yeah.
marriage it was insane. We were gym junkies, if you could call us that. Clean gym junkies. Let's be clear.
Just has roided up, eh?
No, we kept it clean, we kept it honest. But you know, for us, like, you know, we both played multiple sports ever since we were in diapers, and I played through high school. Jessica played through high school, and you know, when I got into college, like, the gym was a very big thing for me. You know, I was weightlifting 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. Sometimes I'd be going 7 days. I'd sometimes do 2 a days, because I was like, there's something about being competitive with yourself, right? And just like always pushing yourself to the limit. But you know, there's not a great history of great health in my family. So like, health was always on the forefront of my mind. And health is wealth, because you could have all the time and all the money in the world, but if you can't move a single limb, you know, and if you have limbs, like, you should be thankful for that on a separate note. But health is wealth. Like if you can't move, you can't even enjoy everything that you worked for. So for us, like, we always want to be active parents, fun parents, travel the world, you know, hike and all that stuff. But, you know, we just, I don't know, I was addicted to working out. I was addicted to eating clean. I was addicted to just like results, again, outcome focus, like what type of results am I going for and how am I getting there? And, through the pandemic, obviously we've might have cut down a little bit, but we have been meal prepping since the day we've probably started dating.
Since we started living together.
Yeah, we've been meal prepping for 6 years strong. Like every Sunday, 2 to 3 hours, we meal prep for the week and we know what's in our food. And honestly, that pours over into our finances. We save a lot of money that way, but I don't know, we have strict diets. We take good vitamins. We drink a lot of water. You will not find a single can of soda in our house. If we drink energy drinks, they are sugar free. Obviously I still like a bag of Skittles once in a while, chocolate chip cookies, like who doesn't like that stuff? But it's a lifestyle to us. It's just something that's been integrated into our DNA. And, we don't go to a gym right now. Everything is at home. We have some weights. But body workouts, Jessica runs, we have a stationary bike, but to be honest, like we eat clean. We believe diet is 70% of your health. 30% is working out. And, it's been tough. We haven't been as consistent as we want to be, but it's a beautiful thing that we're not perfect, because that means we're still living. So it's, I don't know if there's anything you want to touch on here, but
yeah. I mean, just health wise, I think just having another person that kind of pushes you and motivates you to just be better, not in like a bad way. Like, oh yeah, you need to go to the gym right now, because you're getting a little gut right there, but just someone to kind of like motivate you, like, like, hey, you can do it today. Like we can see when the other person really just needs to like maybe let out some energy, or just kind of just getting down, and they just kind of need that, and just kind of pushing it in a healthy way. So we've really respected that about each other. But I think also you touched up on just like mindset and your mind health too. I think that's really been important for us too. We just kind of make sure that we're mentally clear, because when you're not mentally clear and when you're clouded up, you really can't perform at your optimal level in anything that you do. So I just think having that kind of clear communication again, but also having like that outward guidance to help us, that maybe we're struggling with as a couple, but we can go to someone at least who has been there, has done it, who can see it from an outside angle and really keep that mindset clear for us. So I think just mindset wise has been a big thing for us constantly, making sure that we're always working on our mindset. Because I think that's one of the most important things that you could possibly do, is just work on your mindset and have a clear, concise mindset.
Yeah, I think having if you can have like an accountability partner, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a friend, a family member, a random person, we have we know a lot of people that are singles and they live by themselves, and like that can be a very hard thing to do with, when you're cooped up inside all day, you're working, you've got no one to talk to. But on the flip side, for all our couples out there, like we actually have to live together now, like 24/7, 365, like we are together all the time, all day long. And that can really,
we love it.
I mean, we love it because we've learned how to cope with it. I'm not going to lie. The first couple of weeks of quarantine, we're like, how do we even live with each other? Like from a mental standpoint, because like you feel like you never have alone time. You feel like there's someone always around, and and when you're always around somebody else's thoughts and words, you take that onto yourself. So we had to learn how to be communicative. Like Jessica said, like when somebody needs to let off steam, let them do it. Like, hey, something's on your mind. Let's rip it out and tear it apart and let's move on. Let's have a healthy conversation about it. So even like couples, like we get it. They've been struggling through this pandemic, just like with their mental health. It's not just, our single friends that are, by themselves too, but, we just try to be a resource to everybody, singles, couples, families, because we know how tough it can be. Even without a pandemic, mental health is top of the line for us, because that is a huge thing ultimately.
Huge. And it's neat because what you guys touched on for health, at least, it follows a trend among everything, is that you have to be on the same page. Nowhere near going to feel each other when someone may be weak, and lift each other up in that direction. And I guess in a nutshell, you're like, health, well, you both got to have goals for your health. It's as simple as that, and help each other reach those. And yeah, it's been hard, but it's cool that y'all living together also taught you a new dynamic for being able to communicate, because being around anyone, it could be your parents or your kid, it'll get annoying after that much time together. So thank you for that. Great tips people can really go and apply. So before we head out, I just wanted to hear if you can have like one piece of advice for people, like a life hack, I guess, for their mind, almost like a mantra. Maybe that's obviously maybe a bit longer than a mantra, but an idea or a concept or some sentences people can hold on to help them navigate a romantic relationship or almost any partnership, really. But if you guys can pen something down, maybe Nick and Jessica throw something together, like what would that sound like or look like?
Well, I think a big thing for us is, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about a give and not a take in a relationship. And it's 100%, but not expecting the other person to give 50%. You know, you give all and you don't expect. And I think that's a big thing for us is that we've learned. And I think also just like a one-liner that has really just stuck out to me is, and just in any relationship, not just spouses, but just in relationships with other people, is you want to leave a mark in people's life. You don't want to leave a stain.
Dang. You know what, Eric, it's funny. I feel like, I mean, this is still a project in the works, us as a couple, but what Jessica said about 100% was the exact thing I was going to say. Like I just feel like we're so unified. I'm so thankful, honestly. Yeah. Cause people are like, yeah, it's 50-50. No, it's 100. Like, why would you give somebody only half of your best? And I think one of the best life hacks our mentors have always told me personally is when you act and serve without anything in return, without have expectations, but don't rely on a result, you will be the least frustrated, because you're only frustrated when you don't get what you want. And when you expect to serve people in a relationship without anything in return, I think you will be at the pinnacle mentally and heart-wise. So, yeah, Eric, I mean, that's all on my heart right now, but we appreciate you, man. This has been an awesome conversation. And yeah, hopefully this adds a lot of value, you know?
100%. This was huge. There's so much to take away. And it's not just romantic relationships. I mean, if you look at the way an organization runs, the way you want to treat your kids, even a lot of these, it sounds crazy, but how you'd respect a dog. It's as crazy as it sounds when you look at the studies that you have an organism input in, output will still have similar results across all kinds of dynamics of relationships amongst humans and even animals. So you gave us a lot of foundation here. I'm so grateful for y'all. I hope you have many, many years to come together. And I look forward to all you achieve.
We appreciate it. Thank you again for having us. And it was a pleasure kind of instilling some mindset. But yeah, anything for you, Eric.
Absolutely.
Have a good night. Stay in touch.
Right.
Take it easy, everyone. Cheers, folks. Boom, we did it, folks. 11 episodes down the hatchet. We covered a whole onslaught of episodes, like developing your own superpower, to making reading more fun and effective, to make boring things more interesting and entertaining, to help you do things you don't want to do, for lack of better words, to even really overcoming instant gratification. And we talked on some level on dealing with personal relationships and organizational relationships, like in Janika's episode. But right now what we covered is the basis that will form a lot of our life at some point, which is dealing with a romantic relationship. You know, when your relationships aren't good romantically, everything else suffers. And when they're going great, you prosper. And Nick and Jess grabbed a really complex dynamic, which is romantic relationships, and broke it down to these really simple pillars like communication and having open channels, investing and financing, to career management, to goal setting and planning, to health and well-being, onto some book suggestions that you can do that'll really help your relationship, even telling us the value of having mentors that are actually successful. And the cool thing is, folks, a lot of their advice are from their experience and handed to them by highly successful people who worked from the bottom to the top with a partner. So if y'all apply this, I assure you, on some level, based on their success, there'll be an improvement with what you're working on or plan to work on. So I appreciate y'all. Hopefully this was all helpful. We look forward to seeing you next season, and we really want to empower you. And look, no one's perfect. We're all going to fail. We're all going to make errors, but it's how we bounce back from those and try and prove other people and ourselves wrong when we're struggling. So let's do that in 2022. See y'all this year. Peace.